All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today is August 23rd, 2023, and this meeting's for our realtors, for LJ agents. And we're going to go through our interest rates, what's in the headlines, a couple of things that you need to guys to be aware of. And most importantly, we're going to go through a whole presentation for the buyers. So buyers, usually the first time home buyers, have no clue or have very less knowledge of the steps that needs to for them to go to the closing table. So you're going to bring value to them and tell them everything up front using that PDF file that we will share with you guys. So any questions that when we go over it, ask your questions, so this way you can be knowledgeable and you can help out your clients. Okay, so let's get started. Good morning, Tracy. So let's get started with our interest rates. Interest rates, according to Freddie Mac, were averaging for conventional loans around 7.09 as of last week, as of the 17th. For 52-week range, you saw the lowest they have was 5.55 and the highest was 7.09. We wish that it was actually at 7.09 right now, but you can look at your mortgage news daily here that we are hitting the highest in many, many years now. So as of today, this morning, the interest rates for one families with credit scores of 740 or above, 20% down payment, you're looking at around 7.49, really on the high end. Some buyers are panicking, even that just going under contract, assuming that they're thinking that next few weeks is going to go even higher, so they're locking in the interest rates now. Some of them are ready to close their file, but they're not locking in. We're going through that with a few of our files already, where they're just deciding, hey, should I lock in today, should I wait another day or two? Anybody that waited last week compared to this week can feel the heat for sure. That last week they were around 7.25, and today they went up around 25 basis points. So it's a really tricky situation. It's really hard for the buyers to make their decision. They don't know if the outcome is gonna be in their benefit or not. So they're really debating: should I lock in? Should I not lock in? Right? If I'm in their shoes, or if we're in their shoes, we would feel the same pain as well. Right? You can see when you show someone that, hey, last 52 weeks, the lowest we had was 5.72, and as of today, we are on the highest, which is at the peak. Will it go higher? Only time will tell, right? So as realtors, you guys should know this. This is what your clients are monitoring. So when you're putting in the offers, we have to make sure that you think of their monthly mortgage payment, right? That puts in a huge effect when it's someone's getting 6%, 7%, or 8%. Okay, people with lower credit scores will not get this. They will get even higher interest rates, right? Those are just facts. So if a client is that you were showing and had a pre-approval for $600,000 based on 4% interest rate, that person is not going to qualify for the same amount right now, just because the interest rates went up, affordability went lower. So if you have a pre-approval and it's been there for a while, just ask them to get an updated one so you're not wasting your time or theirs. Okay. So these are some of the headlines here. New homes, which is newly built properties, make up more than 30% of the for sale inventory, which is huge. Usually, this percentage is usually half of that on a normal year, just because there's very less houses on the market. Whatever it's newly built is just showing up. Again, the monthly payment is going to come and haunt them when they're putting in an offer for $1.2 million, and they think that their mortgage payment is going to be 6,000, and all of a sudden they're at at a higher price. Hey, Tracy, was that Tracy? No, Charlie. How recent pre-approval should be? Within 90 days. As long as it's within 90 days, I'm okay with it. Anything over 90 days, you should question it as a realtor. Okay. But yes, guys, so ask your questions in the chat or just unmute yourself. Okay. Existing home sales market falls again. Market lacks sellers, right? Home sellers are eventually going to be buyers, right? That's the phrase that home housing wires is using all the time, and it's very true. Somebody that's going to sell their house is not going to be homeless, right? They need to find a new property. And we went through this on every meeting that, hey, anybody that's locked in at 3%, 4% is going to have a very hard time selling that property and getting a new one where their mortgage is much higher now. Okay. So this issue, we will have that on regular basis for next at least a year. Okay. So there are two versions when you check online for the home prices itself that U.S. home buyers have a new challenge addition to your mortgage rates above 7%, the prices are rising again, right? For fast few months, it really depends on the markets, right? Some markets are performing better than others. Really depends on how much the inventory is in that market itself. Versus you might see some headlines says, "Don't worry, prices are coming down," and then they have screenshots. Hey, the price went down $100,000, $20,000, $50,000, different amounts, and they're using examples of that. So you might see both stories. So you are a realtor, you have some tools that other people's don't, right? So you can see that are the prices adjusting? Yes, the answer is yes. That's what we are seeing in Queens as well. You can see that year over year in July it went from 800 to 765,000. So the prices are adjusting, but how much really depends on the market itself. But you, as a realtor, when you're showing them the property, you're gonna tell them, "Hey, it's listed for $800,000. Let me see if I can actually get it for you for 670, 765, 770, 785, whatever the case might be." You want to save, much money as possible for your buyer, right? And you have the tools to show it. You have geodata, you have RPR, you have MLS. You can see what other properties are on the market in particular area anyway. So if you want to look at South Olsen Park, you should be able to say, hey, a new or one family properties or two new family property came in the market because you're doing your research, right? So when you're putting in your offer, start off on the lower end and see if you have to move up. Okay. All right, guys. Next, guys, we want to talk about kickbacks. This is a very touchy subject. I want you guys to be aware of it. You guys are putting your license on the line when you're asking for a kickback. So, what is a kickback in general, right? Kickback is when you're asking another licensed person, "Hey, I'll give you business," right? So, a realtor to a mortgage person, a real estate agent saying, "Hey, I'll give you, 10 clients, but I want something back every time you close." You should know that that's a violation of RESPA, right? We cannot take any money or anything in return for anything that has value to it, okay? For free. If you're doing that and in return you're giving that person referrals, that's going to be considered a kickback. So we recently, as of last week, there was a mortgage company called Freedom Mortgage. They had to pay $1.75 million for illegal kickbacks. So not just a mortgage company, but also they were connected with 40 other brokerages out there. 40. And one of the top names was Realty Connect, and they have to pay around $200,000 in fines, right? What will happen with those licensed people? Only time will tell. We will follow up on those and see what happens. But as brokerages, they're getting fined pretty heavy. Okay. And agency, which is the Fed, is claiming that the Freedom Mortgage offered agents and brokers cash, lavish parties, and premium research in exchange for referral, right? So they may have, different programs available. Hey, instead of you guys paying, we will pay for you guys. In return, we want some leads, right? That's illegal. Okay. So I want to dwell on that a little bit. Yes, it might be tempting. Hey, I'm gonna get paid cash. Oh, if I give our home inspector Hassan, hey, a lead or two, maybe I'll expect $50. Illegal. You're expecting anything from our loan officers. Hey, let me give a file to Terlochin and let me see if he can give me $500, $1,000. Give me this in value. Give me a gift card. All of that is illegal. Illegal. Okay. And when we're talking about this, when the feds is coming, they're not coming just for this year. They go back as many years as possible. In their case with Freedom, they went back to 2017, and then they stole those agreements with these different brokerages, right? So don't expect anybody to give you any money, and do not give any money to anybody for leads or anything like that. Your license, protect your license. There are fines, and there's some jail time, really depending on how involved you were. Not trying to scare you, but just trying to tell you those are the facts, right? These companies are really local. Realty Connect is in Long Island. Freedom Mortgage is all over the place. They're big companies, but if you're doing something illegal, the companies, the Fed will come after you. Okay, so protect yourself and do your business legitimately, because you can. You're licensed and you can make good amount of income if you follow the rules. Okay, all right, guys. We're gonna switch up the gears to Zillow leads. This, if you guys are advertising on Zillow, a lot of you guys are, which is good. But if you're advertising in 11420, our zip code here, right? This property have killed so many leads, from your end, meaning they're giving you leads thinking that they can purchase this property for $274,000. One of our agents called up Zillow and was going, hey, this is a scam. They're going through, I don't know, why would they list this? This property is listed as a short sale, right? So the bank is requiring this listing agent to put it on the market. Obviously, the listing agent put it on the market at a very low price. So, which really tells these clients sitting at home that, hey, this property is available. So the client is not in the wrong. They're clicking on it. They want to see more properties, but it's eating up your budget from Zillow, right? So the best thing to do when you see a property like this or in any area and you're getting two or three leads and the price is too low, just change your zip code from Zillow right away. What that will do is, so this way you'll get new leads from a different zip code, because this property itself will not go away anytime soon, because the bank requires this listing agent to put it in the market for some time. Sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes 6 months, and we have seen it. Sometimes it's a year. Okay. So the listing agent will not pick up your calls and will not show you this property in most cases. So it's best to just avoid the zip code in total. Okay. All right. Next, guys, some of you guys are renewing your license on the last minute. I've been through that as well. Our license expires every 2 years, and we have to take continuing education for 22 and a half hours, and then we have to renew our license online. You can do this a couple of months before as well. You can do it, even 3 months before. But the point here is that you pay attention when your license actually expires. Take the continuing education and renew your license before it's expired. Okay. Do not try to renew your license online when you have not completed the continuing education. Right? You can be audited, and they will ask for the certificate that you completed those courses. Okay. Next is your social media, guys. If you guys don't have social media accounts as realtors, if you have a personal account, leave that as a personal, right? But if you want to get your name out there as a realtor, have a Facebook page, have a Instagram page, TikTok, and LinkedIn. These are the top four I recommend, but you can go with anything that you actually like. Okay, start off with one. Whatever you're posting on one, you can actually post the same thing everywhere else. Okay. But the point here is that these are free accounts. You should have your presence available for your clients. So when they're Googling your name, your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn actually comes up on top. And you should use your name and the word realtor so it's easier for them to find as well. Right. I use the example here, Sheldon, the realtor. You can put anything, Navpreet, Tracy, Joseph, anything, Shirley, your name, the realtor, and try to have the same username available for all these platforms. So have a unique enough that you can use it everywhere. Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of fraud going on where you guys getting text messages from, a different area codes pretending to be me. Just be aware if you're not getting a message in Teams or the 516 numbers that we have, disclose to you guys, you don't have to reply. If you reply and play along with them, I'm okay with it. But just make sure that you not do not send them any gift cards. I will never reach out to you asking for any type of gift cards or any type of money for any reason from you guys, except for your MLS fees, which you have to pay directly to MLS, right? New fees are coming next month, uh, so be prepared for that. If you cannot make the payment for any reason, let us know or let MLS know beforehand. Just know that if one person does not pay on time, they will suspend the whole office. We go through this every September now, and we want to make sure that we're prepared to pay these fees. Okay. Our office assistant here, Sukman, she's trying to reach out to you guys for to update your email signatures. So I received the email and will pay on time. Perfect. Okay, some of you guys are already receiving emails. That's great. But everybody should receive them early next month for sure. Okay. So our office assistant Sukman is reaching out to you guys to update your email signatures. So when you're sending out the email to your clients or to the listing agent, it's really professional that your photo, our logo, and a disclaimer, is there. So before we had an automated system, but it was going through a lot of spam through them. So now we manually doing them. It's just a one-time setup thing. So you can even just come to the office one day. She was here from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. every day. So you can come and update your signatures. Okay. If you haven't picked up your license yet, we still have few licenses sitting here. So pick those up as well. Right. We started doing a Canva for happy birthdays Canva. So when is your birthday? We want to celebrate that through that. So, she might reach out for your date of birth. Okay. Last year, we had few agents where we had to fill out the W-9 form on the last minute in January. We don't want to do that. We want to have W-9s as long as you have closed one deal with us, and we know that we have to issue your 1099s at end of the year. So you have to fill out W-9 form if you haven't done so. So we're gonna reach out to you for that as well. Okay. Some of you guys are with us for quite some time now. As promised, even then the terms will change for our commission and all that early next year. Everybody that has joined us will still be on the same plan for life until you guys decide to leave for whatever reason. We will never change our commission model for you guys because you guys are already grandfathered in. You guys been with us from day one. Okay. So we're gonna have an updated agreements for you guys that does not expire on yearly basis. It's just the one time we sign those will only expire when you either terminate yourself or we have to let you go. Okay. So these are the couple of things that our office assistant will be doing. So if she's reaching out to you in Microsoft Teams or via text message, please do reply. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions, concern before we get started with our buyer's presentation? All right, guys. So buyer's presentation is going to be a separate file from our meeting here. So this way you would have a full access to this. It does not have any agent's name, number, or anything like that. So I expect you guys to use this file for your clients. So the first time you're meeting with them, you can have this as a printout where you can put maybe two or four of these slides on one page, and print these out for your clients and go over that. If you have an iPad or if you have your laptop, you want to have this full screen, and you want to present this to your client. You're going to tell them, hey, I'm going to next 20 minutes, I'm going to take you from not knowing anything for the processing of purchasing in order to know all the major steps that you need for the closing. Okay. So when you're starting out, you have to assume that your clients do not know all the steps, and do not try to skip or try to fast forward anything because you might be an expert at that, but your client might not. Okay. So this presentation is going to be very important. If end of this presentation, I do want your feedback. If you feel like we missed out on anything, please let me know so I can update it uh, and before we finalize it. Okay. So it has our company logo, buyer's presentation. We want to take them for sale property to sold property. Okay. So first you want to tell them is that who is involved in a real estate transaction. So you're going to tell them, hey, Mr. Buyer, I'm going to go through the steps with you. But before that, let's talk about who's going to be involved in your transaction. Number one is going to be your buyer and your seller. The seller is obviously selling the property, buyer is going to be yourself. Second is that you would need a real estate agent to help you out. It's usually optional, but you're talking to me. I'm a realtor. I'm going to tell you the benefits, and you be the judge at end of this presentation. Do you really need a realtor or not? Okay. You would need a loan officer if it's not a cash deal. If you have all cash in the bank, you don't need a loan officer. But if you need, you're putting down 3%, 10%, 20%, whatever the amount is, you need a loan officer to get the remaining amount. Okay. Next is going to be your home inspector. We would need to inspect the property. Me as a realtor, I can show you the property, but I would not know everything inside out about that physical of that property. So we would need a home inspector who's licensed, can tell you what's inside that property. Okay, the structure and all that. Once we have our offer accepted, we need an attorney. So you should go with an attorney that you're comfortable with, that you have dealt with before, right? If you don't have them, we have a couple of them that we recommend. You should go talk to them, and if you're comfortable, hire one of these attorneys. Okay. Then you would need an appraisal. You're simply paying for the appraisal. You're not hiring them. Your lender is, right? And they're going to evaluate the property. If we're saying that this property is for $500,000, the bank wants to verify that that is indeed the value is there, and the appraiser will come to that property and inspect. Okay. You would also need a title company. Your attorney will usually hire this title company and find out about your property through a title company. And you would need a surveyor who's a person who does the survey, and they will check the boundary lines, right? If your lot size is 40 by 100, they want to confirm that it's actually 40 by 100. Last but not least is going to be your insurance agent. This person, after the closing, you're going to be staying connected with this insurance agent. So if you're comfortable with your current agent, go for it. Otherwise, get some price quotes. So that is going to protect your property in the long run. Okay. It's going to protect your property from fire, other damages as well. But mainly, you would need an insurance agent for that. So these are the people who are involved in this. And now we're going to go through the steps. Okay. So I'm going to take you from steps from budgeting. We're going to go through 14 steps. Yeah, sure. That's a good idea, Shirley. Maybe I can put it on the, just like I mentioned, maybe a line that's very small font underneath it. So it tells them the purpose. That's a good idea. Okay. Next, I'm going to go through the steps with you. There are typically around 14 steps. So I'm going to go through budget, pre approval, finding a property, putting an offer, negotiating, home inspection, going under contract, your title report, what are your lender's conditions, how are we going to finalize your contingencies, when are we going to hear clear to close, final walkthrough, closing day, and moving in. Okay, so I'm going to take you from step one to step 14. So let's start with step one. First is going to be your budget. So as a buyer, you would need to make sure that you're reviewing your financial situation, which includes your income, how much money you're making, what are your savings. Let's say you have $50,000 in your bank account, that's going to be your savings. What are your debts? What are your monthly debts that you're going through? What are some of your credit cards, your car payments, any of that? How does your credit scores look like? Okay. So this is all your budget. This is you as a client. You're thinking, what's my income? What's my savings? What's my debt? And what's my credit scores like? Right. You want to determine how much you can afford when you're about to spend for a house. And just remember, you need to have down payment and closing cost. Okay. A lot of people know that, hey, I just need down payment. I just need 3%, 5%, 20%. But they forget the part that we also need closing cost. Okay. So for down payment, the lowest you can go is usually 3.5% for conventional, but some loans will officers will provide 3% down payment for conventional as well. So FHA is 3.5. For conventional, it might go as low as 3%. Okay. For closing costs, the average is around 4%, so you can save between 3 and 5. Okay? So at bare minimum, you still need around 6 or 7% for your in your savings account in order to make this transaction happen. So right there and then you're bringing a lot of value to them because they have no idea that they had to also save up for closing costs. Okay? Next, you briefly want to explain the credit scores. You want to say, hey, let's say your wife has these three credit scores. One of them is 718, one of them is 725, and one of them is 739. The lenders will use the middle score. So the middle score in this one will be 725. Okay. If this wife borrower was the only person that was on the loan, the lender will simply take 725. But now, let's say wife also added her husband to the file because of income, but his credit scores is lower. They're gonna go with the lower one. In his case, they're gonna go with 636. So overall, even though that the wife had 725, the lender does not care. They're going to go with the lower candidate or the worst candidate, and in this case is the husband. You can add up to four borrowers in one loan, and whoever is the lowest credit score holder, that is the one that's going to count. Okay? So educate them on that level. Okay? Next, you would need pre-approval. So we can start shopping around, start showing you properties and all that, but it's wasting your time and our time because we don't know what you actually qualify. So you want to contact two or three different lenders, right? If you're banking with Chase, you're banking with TD Bank, you're banking with whoever, maybe you want to go to them and see what they have to offer. Then you probably want to go with the mortgage broker like ourselves and find out how much you qualify and compare the loan estimates, right? See how much they're charging, how much they're charging. You're about to go, buy a house. So the mortgage is going to be one of the biggest purchases of your life. Okay. When do you show this presentation? You show them when you're presenting this presentation with them. So let's say you are meeting up with your client for the first time. This is how some of our top agents do this. They have this on their, a laptop or iPad, or have this as a printout, and you're going through this slide by slide with them. Okay. After they're done, you should tell them to take this with you. So this way, you're bringing value to them. Okay. So once they spoke to a couple of loan officers, at least two or three loan officers. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Joseph. No, not really. I mean, if there's any programs out there to you as a loan officer or to as a realtor, when you're putting in the offer, you just need to disclose that. That's all. But if they're whatever the case might be, you just need some proof that they have. But nobody can, just the norm of it, right? It's just gonna be hard to compete with a cash offer, even if you have a down payment assistance program or not, right? Even if it's just a regular conventional loan with 20% down payment, when you're talking about cash offer, there's nobody else involved. There's no bank involved. So the only thing that they need is the title report. As long as the title report comes in, usually within 7 to 10 days, they're ready to close. So I don't know how they're gonna compete with them with the assistant program, because any assistant program is going to take at least 30 days to get approved and go through appraisal and inspections and all that, where cash, because there's no bank involved, I don't think anyone can compete with cash offers, right? But we can talk about that in more details, right? All right, guys. So back to this. Number two is your pre-approval. They're gonna speak with at least two or three different lenders, find out their fees, and the main thing is that they're finding out the budget, right? If two different lenders saying, "Hey, you can qualify for $600,000," That means it's a good amount. And as a realtor, you should be showing them property that's $600,000. Okay. What loan officer will need to review is your taxes, your W-2s, your pay stubs. Some of them will do a soft pull, some of them will do a hard pull. So just be aware. So anytime they're doing a credit pull, make sure that you as a buyer is authorizing that loan officer to do either hard pull or soft pull. Okay. And someone asked earlier how long the pre-approval is valid for. Usually 90 days. Okay. So this is your pre-approval. Once you have that pre-approval, I'm going to take that and present that with every offer we're doing. But before we, put in an offer, we have to find a property. So you as a buyer might already have set up alerts on Zillow or Redfin, but me as a realtor, I'm going to be competing with Zillow and Redfin. So anytime you see something on these websites, just shoot me a message with the address, and I'll see if that property is available. But whatever you're seeing, I should be seeing the same thing. We have a website for KV Core. I'm going to set up alerts for you, and you will start seeing properties right away. Okay. If you work with a licensed real estate agent, I'm going to be doing all the showings for you, negotiating, doing all the paperwork. I'm always going to be on your side. Finding a property, don't discourage them. Hey, don't have Zillow, delete that app. I never did that. I always said, hey, go for it. As long as you can find a property, I can find a property. We have common goals. Our goal is to find you a property. Doesn't matter how we find it, right? As long as they're giving you the address, you should hop on it and start scheduling your showings. Okay. And you want to disclose this, if you're having a conversation when coming to property and talking about Zillow, saying, hey, you know never going to pay me as an agent, right? But I'm representing you as a buyer's agent, but I'm getting paid from the seller side. Okay. The listing agent is going to share their commission, but nothing is coming from your end. I'm still going to represent you all the way. I get paid from the other side, not from you. Okay. And remember, the listing agent is working for the seller, right? Listing agent found that seller, they have a good relationship, they put it on the market, they have one goal, to sell that property. They're going to try to hide much as possible. All the negative things they're going to try to hide unless you find it on your title report or the inspection. But from my end as a realtor, I'm going to be as a buyer's agent, I'm going to be representing you. So it's going to be in your best interest to hire someone that's not representing the seller as well. Okay. So once we do find the property, it might take you five showings. It might take you 50. I'm going to be with you all the way, right? You just tell me, I want to see this property. I'm available. Okay. So when the time comes for the offer, your first question is this a good offer? The property is listed for 625. Should I actually sell it for 625? Or should I put in an offer for 625? Should I put it for lower or higher? Right? The realtor can do the research for you. I have the tools that nobody else has, and I should be able to evaluate this property much more accurately. Okay. And we're going to talk about this with every offer. Should we waive the home inspection? Should we waive the bank appraisal? The way the market is, we should not. Okay. When the market is super hot, they're getting so many offers, then maybe you want to waive some of these things. But, you know, in the beginning, you should not even consider them. When it comes to home inspection, we will go a little bit in details. What is that all about? But when it comes to offers, we don't want to waive any of these contingencies. When they ask you what are contingencies, contingency you could put in the simplest form. Those are your conditions, right? These are the conditions have to be met before the closing. And number five is going to be negotiating, right? When we are negotiating, we're just not negotiating the price. Some people think that, hey, when we negotiate, it's just the price. We have tools for the price. We can have that. But how about the repairs? How about the appliances? How about the furniture? As realtors, we should know that anything that's fixed, anything that's a fixture should stay with the property. Some of these people, as a listing agent, will disclose that, hey, we will be removing that. So you can negotiate should they or should they not. If you need any help with the closing costs or the down payment, maybe you need seller's concession and you have no idea how to do that. I'm going to be helping you with those concessions. Okay. I know the market, I follow the market all the time. So market knowledge is there, and communication. Anything that comes in to my ears, I'm going to be, talking to you about it. If there's any issue, we're going to try to resolve it. Okay. So it's just not the price that we're negotiating, we're doing a lot more as realtors. And when it comes to home inspection is not just to find out what's the flaws and try to negotiate down the price. But as a homeowner now, I don't want something going down wrong with my property after the closing. So at least I want to know what's wrong with my property, right? So the home inspector can uncover potential issues, defects, or safety concerns, right? And you should be aware of these issues, even if the seller is not willing to do anything about it. If there's major issues, let's say there's a structural damage, there's a roof is completely damaged, maybe you would have some negotiation power there. Okay. The home inspector will also check the foundations, the walls, the roof, the attic, plumbing, electric, heating and cooling appliances. They will do all of that. And the cost is going to be around $350 to $550 for a single family. Really depends on the home inspector, and you should contact at least two or three different ones and get a price quote for that. More importantly, you want to find out what are the flaws for the property. And once you have done your home inspection and you saw that there's no major issues, we want to go under contract as soon as possible. Listing agents are usually sending out the contracts to multiple people. So whoever has, signs it first, sends it back. The seller will only sign it to one contract, but they can send it to three different people, three different buyers signs it. All three contract goes back to the seller. Seller will only sign one, right? Because they only have one property to sell, so they can only sign one contract. So, what are the steps for going under contract? The seller's attorney sends out the contract. So, the seller's attorney actually makes up the contract, sends it to your buyer's attorney, right? So, that's why your deal sheet is important to you guys as realtor guys. As soon as your offer is accepted, send out your deal sheet to the buyer's attorney. So, the seller's attorney and the buyer's attorney have the contract, and then the buyer's attorney will review the contract and make any changes if needed, and then buyers will sign the contract, gives their earnest deposit. Now the contract and the check for the earnest deposit goes back to the seller's attorney. The seller's attorney will review it, and the seller will actually sign. Once both parties have signed it, it's called fully executed contract. Okay, that's what the loan officer needs to hear, that you have a fully executed contract. And the loan officer can start working on your file. Okay. So once you're fully under contract, right, fully executed contract, your buyer's attorney now will order the title report. The title report will have your ownership history, outline a chain of ownership, who owned this property at what year, all going back many, many years, all the way up to you as a seller, I mean, to the seller itself for the current owners right now. Okay. It will have legal description, it will have liens, it will have any mortgages. Obviously, if the seller had a mortgage now on that property, that will show up as a lien. Your judgment, any legal proceeding for that property will show up on your title report. Title report is very, very important. Okay. And all your property taxes information will come up. It will even have old copies of the deed, mortgages, and survey maps. Right, some of these survey maps, they go back many, many years. You can see how it was laid out. Okay, that's your title report. There's a difference between title report and the title insurance. Title report will tell you everything going back, documenting that property's information, but title insurance will protect you from someone knocking on the door after the closing and saying, "This is my house," right? So you never want that. You just purchase the house. Hey, I have my papers here. So they also have papers. So if they have papers, you have papers, we have a court case, right? So who's going to your title insurance? So there's two different title insurance. One is called lender's title insurance, which protects the mortgage lender if any title issues arises after closing, and is required. The lender will require that you purchase this. And for owner's title insurance, it protects the owner if there's any issues after the closing, and this is optional. But we also make them both required. Okay, you always want to stay protected. Your lender wants to stay protected. You should stay protected as well with your title insurance. And it's just a one-time charge during the closing around your purchase price. Okay. Next, while you have your application with your loans, with your loan officer, the loan officer will send you different conditions. It might be 5 conditions, 10 conditions, 15 conditions. Really depends on the bank and how complex your file is, right? the the lender needs to know that, hey, they're going to lend you $400,000 in loan, and you're going to repay that in next 30 days, next 30 years. They really need to make sure that you qualify. So some of you guys saying, "Hey, no, I make a lot of money, but it's not on paper," is no good to any of us. We need to see it on paper, and it has to be accurate. Okay, and in these conditions, they will verify your income. They might say, "Hey, give us the latest update, your pay stubs, your, anything has to do with income, CPA letter or updated job letter or whatever the case might be." They might come up with a condition. They might ask for your assets. Hey, you have, $50,000 in your account. Now you have 70,000. You had a large deposit of $20,000. How did that come in? Explain that to us. Okay. If you're using gift letters, you need those gift letters signed. If you did not waive the appraisal contingency, even if you had, the bank will still do appraisal. Okay. Bank needs to make sure that the property is valued at that price, so they will send out an appraisal to do so. They would want to Your lender would want to see the title report, as we mentioned earlier. Your buyer's attorney ordered that. Usually it comes in within 7 to 10 days. Now your lender wants to see that title report, and before the closing, your lender wants you to shop around for title of your home insurance. Okay. The faster you clear these conditions, the faster you close your loan. We have seen our files close as little as 12 days, as long as 4 months. Really depends on your client. If your client is not going to, depending on your buyer, so you're having this talking to your buyers, so you're going to tell them, hey, the faster you clear these conditions with your loan officer, the faster we can close. Okay. And then you want to finalize other contingency. Does everything look in order? Are both parties satisfied? Were repairs completed as promised? Maybe you're just confirming there was a sidewalk needs to be fixed, or the kitchen cabinets needed to be updated. Whatever you guys agreed on around this time, this is a couple of weeks into the deal, you want to make sure that the listing side or the owners are actually doing these things, and you can confirm this via email, text, or phone calls. But you're going to verify all these things are fixed when you're doing your final walkthrough. Okay. And number 11 is going to be your clear to close. Your loan officer eventually one day will say, hey, your file is clear to close. That means your, not leader, but your lender is satisfied with your documents, and they're going to lend you that money. Okay. You need to hear this. Hey, your file is clear to close. The buyer's attorney verifies clear title. We mentioned earlier, if you hear the word your title is clear or is a clear title, that means there was no issues with that title. Okay. And if all parties are satisfied, you guys gonna hear that we're going to schedule your closing on this Friday at 2 p.m. And as a realtor, I will be doing a final walkthrough with you, Mr. Buyer. Right? That this is gonna be your last chance to view the property before signing your closing documents with your attorney at the closing table. So we're gonna visit the property within 24 hours before the closing, and we're gonna inspect the conditions of the property. We're going to verify that all the repairs are done, the appliances that's promised, they're still there. You're going to check the light switches, you're going to check the faucets, you're going to make sure everything's in working order. You're not expecting anything brand new to be there for them, but at the same time, you don't want to see any surprises. We have seen that where one of the owners simply took out the whole kitchen. He thought it was too fancy. You just can't do those things. Anything that's fixture, as a realtor, you're going to make sure that those things are there. Okay. And on the closing day, finally, went through the final walkthrough. There was no issues there. Now is the closing day. We said it was Friday at 2 p.m. So 3 days prior to that, your loan officer is going to review a closing disclosure. It will have all the fees and everything that's associated with your loan. If you have any question, you're going to talk to your loan officer and resolve that. You should not sign your closing disclosure without verifying all those numbers. And government made it very clear, when you sign your closing disclosure, everybody have to wait 3 day cooling time to make sure that there was no issues with that closing disclosure, and then they can schedule your closing. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're satisfied with your loan officer. Your buyer's attorney will provide you the information for, where the closing is going to happen, what time is going to happen, and it's going to tell you, hey, remember, you have to bring out your down payment and your closing cost. So now, your bank or your buyer's attorney will tell you, hey, bring certified check payable to this person. And you want to make sure that you have the spelling right. If they put a dot, if they put a comma, whatever they say, put exactly as that on the certified check. We had disputes where one thing was missing, or there was a misspelling or anything like that, and the closing did not happen that day. So you want to make sure that your clients are aware of that. Okay, and then make sure that they bring a photo ID to the closing, and they're going to review all the documents with their attorney at the closing table, and they're going to sign all those documents, and they're going to exchange the keys. Okay, we're still not done yet. The last step is going to be moving in. Maybe you're closing on Friday, you know, maybe you want to move in the next day. But since you know you're going to be closing this weekend, you should plan ahead, right? Once you have the keys, the number one thing you want to do is change your locks, right? Because you don't know which, as simple as that. Every lock that you see in the house, you should be changing it. Okay. And then you want to add services to your name. You want to call the water company, gas, electric, the internet company, and tell them, hey, I'm a new homeowner for this property, and I would like to add a service. Okay. And then obviously you want to do change of address with the post office. All right. So those are the steps that is going to take you from, starting out looking for a property all the way to being a homeowner. And why work with a buyer's agent? Why would you want to work with me? A buyer's agent, I can represent your interest in the whole transaction. Always your interest is going to be first for me. I'm going to help you find the right property. I'm going to help you negotiate, not just the price, but everything else along with it. And I'm going to guide you uh, through the whole entire process. Okay. Working with buyer's agent can save you time, money, and stress. Now you tell me. I went through all of this. You tell me if there's any questions, concern as a buyer and as a realtor. Guys, your feedback. You tell me, was it too much, too little? Need more details? What can we add, remove? Because this will be our official presentation for our buyers. Right? Because end of the day, we do want to tell them who's involved and what are the steps. Okay. As some of you guys mentioned earlier, I will put down a little breakdown for here. But how about any of these slides here? Anything that we missed out on? I'll skim it through. Yes. Yeah, that'll be good. So yeah, I'll review these 22 slides here with you guys later on, and you guys can do exactly that. Like I said, by maybe by next week, we do want to make it official because a lot of you guys, I expect all you guys to, have this presentation with all your buyers because you want to bring some value to them. This way, obviously, you guys should know the steps. You guys should ask me any question that you would have. So this way you can answer, with confidence when you're talking to your clients. Right? All right, guys. Next, we're gonna wrap it up in the next few minutes. Is joining a team. We have Team Purple, Gold, and Blue. For Sheldon, Rupinder, and AP. So new agents are getting assigned to these people, but for anybody that's already with us, those are optional. We want you to join if you need any help, right? If you have not closed the deal, you should definitely join the team. Simple rules, right? Training sessions are happening every Thursday at 10 a.m. for 30 minutes by these team leaders or myself, and we just go through one of these systems and in details how to actually use those systems. Okay, and we will send out another survey reminder for you guys that this Sunday here, August 27th, at Smoky Park, there will be an event for International Food and Musical Festival from 11 to 6. Just bring your business cards and just come there. We will have food for our community, and we'll be advertising LJ Realty and LJ Mortgage. So if you guys can make it, please do so. Okay. All right, guys. We'll leave it at that. Any questions, concerns before we get going? Oh, we have another meeting for mortgage side, but we'll definitely speak after one, or we can schedule.